After much debate, Frank decides it's time to pull the trigger and walks upstairs. He's just decided to buy a new car, and he keeps a safe in the back of his closet with all of his cash. See, Frank doesn't trust banks. Frank's parents went through the Great Depression where all of their money was wiped out when the banks failed. That was stressful. That was really stressful. He remembers feeling the stress and the tension growing up. So he doesn't trust banks. So he keeps all of his money in the safe. He's not making any interest. And he wouldn't even care if you told him how much money he's wasting by not making interest or not putting any money in the stock market. You just can't trust those institutions. Further, if you told him that he's at risk of his money going up in flames in case of a house fire, he'd say, that's okay, this safe is fireproof. That was really stressful, and it impacted how he behaves with money at the time. Those experiences, those highly intense experiences, are called financial flashpoints. Find out more right after this. Hey, it's Derek Hagan. I'm a financial therapist, and I'm here to talk to you about financial flashpoints and their impact on money scripts. So, financial flashpoints are one of the ways that we develop money scripts. A money script is a subconscious belief that we have about money that drives all of our decisions. Nobody's been through the same experiences that we have. We've seen things, we've seen how it works, we've made interpretations of how money's supposed to be used and not supposed to be used, and how it's talked about and what it's used for. And all that shapes our beliefs that are hidden underneath conscious awareness. So most of that's in childhood, but if you've got a highly emotional event later on in life, that will either rescript an old money script that you have, or it will create a new money script. So something bad happens, and then our brain says, we're not going to go through that again. And we create a money script, and that financial flashpoint has changed that. Now, if something bad happens to you and it's not that intense, or you saw somebody or heard somebody's friend of a cousin, that's not that intense for you. So you're over here, it's not going to have much impact on your money scripts. But if it came out of nowhere and surprised you, and this was very traumatic for you, you can think of financial flashpoints kind of like the money version of trauma. The analogy is pretty close. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So think of it like money trauma. So if you felt and experienced trauma around money, that's going to be really intense. That's going to really have a big impact on your money scripts. And what happens in these cases, how we get to this trauma response, or how we get these financial flashpoints, is our brains are designed to get us out of stressful situations, right? So we have this need to get out of bad situations. And as the stress increases, we need to get out of it. It's increasing a little bit, but there's a time when it just shifts. There's a big shift, and fight, flight, freeze kicks in, and we have to get out of that situation. Now, fight could mean being physical, but more often you see this as being aggressive, or yelling, or screaming, or being sarcastic, or making fun of somebody, but somehow being aggressive. That's fight response. A flight response, again, could be running away, but it could also be, leaving the room, changing the subject, right? So basically we're getting away from the situation. We're getting away from what's happening. Now, both fight and flight, those are active. We're doing something. So remember, all this stuff comes from our ancestors. So if our ancestors living in tribes, something scary or bad happened, and your gut response is to attack the thing that's attacking you, or your gut response is to leave and get the heck out of there, that's going to be effective. Hopefully. It's going to be more effective. Now, there is a freeze response. This is akin to playing dead. So if you don't know what to do, you're frozen in place, and you let this thing happen to you, or you hope it's going to be over soon, so you just wait for it to be over. A freeze response is where we really get those traumatic experiences, where we really get those financial flashpoints. And when we have these traumatic financial flashpoint experiences, one of two things usually happens. Right? So somewhere in the middle here, this this is paying too much attention. This area here, this is paying no attention at all, ignoring it completely. Somewhere in the middle, paying somewhere in between paying too much attention and paying no attention is the sweet spot of paying just enough attention. But when we've had these financial flashpoints, sometimes we'll pay way too much attention and we get obsessed with whatever happened. And we really dive in head first. We're focusing way too much on the source of that financial flashpoint. Or we avoid it. We don't even think about it. We pay no attention at all to whatever happened to us. Those are the two kind of responses to financial flashpoints. Right? And so they all feed our money scripts. So we develop these money scripts in childhood. You could think of another arrow here from childhood. And these money scripts drive our behaviors. Those drive outcomes. And if those outcomes were good outcomes, that reinforces the money script. If those outcomes were bad outcomes, it's going to change the money script. But sometimes those outcomes lead to other financial flashpoints. Sometimes financial flashpoints come out of nowhere and we're outside of our control. But it all comes back to shaping your beliefs about money. So understanding and taking some time to think about the big emotional events that have happened to you, you'll be paid off for that benefit. Understand your money history, and you can live a better financial life because you'll understand why you believe what you do around money. And that is good money health.